Battle of the Challenges podcast with Vincent Cloud.
And David Lauer.
And we're talking about Battle for a New Champion. This is the season roundup. We are super late. This show ended, I don't know how many fucking weeks ago, but I believe in closure. I'm sure our listeners will want us to be like, hey, assholes, you guys only covered until episode 7. So we're here to right those wrongs, and but we're gonna still cut through this pretty goddamn quickly. So hold on to your hats. And Dave, if I skim through something and you're like, wait a minute, didn't something happen in the house or a relationship or something? You could bring it up. Otherwise, I might not at all. So
That's okay. That's,
uh,
I mean, if we skip something, that's fine. But we're just going to kind of talk about like the season as a whole, like how it started and then where it went and how it finished.
yeah, we're gonna start with episode 8 though. I mean, just the
Mhm.
completionist in me must
Yeah.
start
I'm
there.
just, yeah. I'm just saying my general feelings on how it started and then how things ended up.
Yeah, we'll get there in a moment
It
of
started great and then
yeah.
things got not so great.
Oh my God. Okay, well, let's get to episode 8 where the mission was the Tower of Power. That's basically Jay was like, "Oh my God, I got rid of CT doing this very same thing in that elimination." Remember
Hmm.
that? Yeah. Um, false foreshadow of CT picking Jay when he pulls the chaos card does not happen, however. Remember that? Mhm.
Yeah, it was they did that a lot with these different eliminations, where it was like, oh, there's Michelle and like, who's it, Cara Maria or something?
Laurel.
Laurel. Oh yeah, yeah, where they had like, history. And they're like, oh, she voted me in, when we last saw each other, and then it's like they're foreshadowing it like the entire episode.
Yeah. This does not play off. CT's like, you beat me fair and square. All right, well, let's move on though to what does happen. Let's just cut to the champion that shows up. This is, of course, the chaos portion still, and it's Casey, and she draws Big T's name, and they're gonna go into pole wrestling. What do you remember from this?
Um, Not a whole lot. It was just, I mean, like Big T and was it Melissa? They were at like the bottom of the house. Like Corey was playing them, and then Corey like divorced himself from them and threw them under the bus. And then, they were kind of screwed and they were going to get sent in a bunch of times over and over. I don't really specifically remember anything about this elimination, the pole wrestle, but Big T's not a super physical person. So Casey definitely has an advantage.
But she did. They uh, Casey won the first round, but then Big T came back, won the second round. Hmm.
I mean, did Casey let her get that one?
No, you don't. Holy shit, that's a good point because Casey will, after she defeats Big T, she's like, you know what, TJ, I don't need the 10K. I'm gonna give 5K to Big T. Way to go, champ. Yeah.
I mean, these are all words. I like they say a lot of this shit for TV. I need to see some receipts before I actually believe this.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I think off, in a interview afterwards, it's revealed Casey gave Big T money. So again, those are just words, but you would think Big T would be like, bullshit. I didn't get shite.
That, I mean, so basically, like Big T got 5 grand, and then Nani got the other 5 grand. And I'm
Oh
sure Nani
shit.
was like, "Well, you gave away your half. The other half was my half."
That's so funny though that the spies, lies, and allies. She's still thinking with generosity. She's like, oh my god, because CT when they won, remember he's like, break them off 50 grand a piece, and Casey's down like, oh, whenever I win anything, I just give away my money, give it away. Uh, all right, episode 9. The mission was Doomsticks, which I just remember being unfair because as soon as fuck and like two other girls, they were a three-team thing where everyone else were in pairs. Remember that? Any of that?
No, what did they do in this one?
Oh, there was a bunch of shit. It was divided into four spots. Like one, you would just have to carry these sticks and put some weight on it, and you would have to get across the field, and then you get to just choose someone to eliminate from the game going forward into the second game. And they just kept on doing this. But it was a clear advantage for the three-person team, and they ended up winning the whole thing.
Yeah, I remember that. That was, yeah, it was not enjoyable to watch because it was just like, oh, yeah, they have a lead, and it was like, well, I kind of have an advantage here, and then I don't know. Like I was kind of waiting for them to fuck up in some way, but they didn't. Like, and they just went ahead and won it fairly easily.
Yeah, it's almost like they couldn't lose with three people. Ah. All right, well, let's talk about the champion that shows up. It's Tori. And oh my God, TJ fucking just blowing Tori in front of us. He's like, let me bring in one of the best to have ever done it ever. And Tori shows up. I'm like, what? Where's Evelyn when you need her? God damn it. Oh, that's right. She actually has a life now.
Like I like in my head, I thought he was bringing out Cara Maria or Laurel or something, and it was like, or it was like a mystery person that I wasn't sure of. But then it was Tori, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I don't know. It's like with like Cara Maria and Laurel, they have like better resumes than everybody else. Like Tori, she just won. She's the most like recent champion, but she doesn't have like multiple championships like other people. So it was like TJ would just talk them up and build them up a ton with like, Casey and Tori built them up a ton, but then like with Laurel and Cara Maria, you don't really need to build them up, I guess. But I don't know. It did go a little over the top though.
Yeah. Uh, Paul, Paul, fuck. Who's Brock Lesnar's pitch man? What's his name? Paul
Paul
something?
Heyman.
Paul Heyman. TJ is no Paul Heyman. All right. Well, anyways, so Tori draws Melissa's name and they're gonna play Going Under. It's like under the water and you gotta put a puzzle together or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
It
God.
was
Okay.
fine. I kind of liked it because it was like the people in the crowd couldn't like interfere and just tell you what to do. That was probably like one of the best things about it because some of the bad eliminations are when the people in the audience, the other cast members are just yelling down at the person telling them what to do. That's a huge issue. And I don't know, production seems to think that's a good thing. And like they kind of encourage it in some eliminations, and I don't understand because I think it makes it shittier.
For sure. But Tori beats Melissa. But this is the thing that annoyed the fuck out of me. Before they go down to do the thing, Tori like looks over to Mariah. Is like, Mariah, what the fuck? Bananas is heartbroken. First of all, I'd be like, Tori, stay in your lane. Like, who gives a fuck? I didn't realize that like everyone loves bananas all of a sudden. Even Wes. Fuck that. I will never forget. Never forget. Old bananas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. Like I was like, why is this happening? Because it was just like this had nothing to do with Mariah. Mariah was not in it. It's not like she pulled like the what is it called? The random where you get to choose anyone, chaos or whatever.
No,
It's not like
she just pulled James's dick a bunch of times. That's what she's mad about. Everyone feels so bad because she cheated on bananas.
well, yeah, and like why is Tori even talking to Mariah? Like it's not like she was like, "Well, I'm gonna pick you because you did this."
Yeah.
Like this, it was just totally out of left field because she should be focusing talking to her opponent. It's not like she pulled chaos and she's like, "Well, I could choose you over there." It. I don't know. It made no sense, and it was really weird because it was like, how the fuck would bananas know about this if this all takes place inside of a house they're all like basically quarantined. No one's let out or in. Like, how is Bananas finding this out? Like, he has like the Master of Whispers or something
You
is like
know,
in the house and like feeding him information from the outside. Like, this relationship had only been going on for like what, 2.5 weeks or something.
all right, but okay, we actually covered this maybe in the episode before this, but that was before our huge fucking break. But Devin was there, and Mariah, he's like, "Who should I pick?" And Mariah is like, "Whatever you do, don't choose this guy." And she pointed to James, and she's like, "Oh, never mind. Maybe I shouldn't have brought that up." And Devin's like, "Huh." I've never claimed to be, whatever, a psychic, but I think Mariah's with that big dude. So that's why he goes back to whatever is a civilian again and able to tell Bananas. Yeah.
But that's like not enough info to like it just means that she's in an alliance. Like you have to like take some logic like some illogical leaps
Okay.
to like I don't know.
All right. Well,
And plus, like Mariah has always said that she was not like exclusively dating Bananas. They were just like kind of a fling. Like they'd hang out and then but it was never like serious. They didn't like live together. It was not like an official relationship.
yeah. Well, exactly. I'm like, Tori, you're annoying. Shut the fuck up. Who cares?
Exactly.
God damn it. And yeah, whatever. All right. Let's talk about episode 10 where they played Skyball. I don't remember this much. They were spinning and they had to throw balls out and then they had to dunk them in, but solve a lot of puzzles in this season. A lot of puzzles where it means nothing anymore. Um, but Skyball. So let's cut to the champ. Darrell shows up. He draws Kyland and they're gonna play Firewalker. Remember that? That was interesting. You had to balance and burn like six things.
Yeah, like spun in a circle and you had to like balance it to get the flame to light the thing on fire.
Yep.
Yeah, it
Where,
was interesting.
yeah, I think it would take some core strength on top of coming up with the right strategy and using your momentum and stuff like that. But Kylan's a smart motherfucker, man. And Darrell's never been the greatest at eliminations. He's more of a finalist sort of dude. So I wasn't really sure where this would go, but overall though, I was rooting for Kylan. I'm like, no, he's a good kid.
Yeah, I was rooting for Kylan like the entire season. Um he's he's super athletic and like strong and fast, plus he's incredibly smart. So it's very rare because usually you have like guys who are super strong and athletic, but then they're not very smart. So it's nice to have like Kylan is pretty rare, more rare. And like
Oh,
Darrell, yeah, Darrell's great. He's one of the best of all time. But one of his weaknesses is probably like quickness. Like he is forced to like do some of these tasks, if it's like balance and stuff like that, he's not super quick. He's not slow, but I don't know. It's kind of like Brad. Like, but Brad is even worse, because he's really bulky and slow.
well, we forgot to mention when Melissa left the previous episode, her and Kylan were a thing. I completely forgot about that. Remember
Oh
that?
yeah, that's right.
Very mismatched, right? All right, let's talk about episode 11 where they played Banquet of Champions. It was at night and carrying boxes and shit. Then they had to eat food. I didn't even remember what exactly they had to eat. I'm kind of over the eating thing. It's just overdone. It's going to be overdone, especially in this final. Holy shit. Where like before every checkpoint, no, remember to drink TJ's smoothies.
Yeah, drink his energy drink.
God. Anyways, let's talk about the champ. Shows up, Laurel draws Raven, and they play Chain Reaction. That's where they had to pull out color coordinated chains and then put that chronologically as little pegboards and stuff. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, I thought this was a really cool elimination. Unfortunately, it was kind of ruined by all the castmates and cast members like yelling down like answers and shit.
Yeah, that's right. But Laurel's she lost, and that's too bad because Laurel's been getting taken out with any elimination she appears in. She's been on a losing streak lately. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would argue that's like when she lost, like that like the pole climbing thing where you put the pegs in against, was it Ninja? Or not Ninja,
Yeah,
Nicole?
I think it was Ninja, yeah. Yep.
Was it Ninja? Yeah. Like that was like a legitimate loss. She, to me it's a legitimate loss. It's super controversial. But um like in this one, I felt like this one is just super random. Like I don't really count these as like, oh, they totally lost. It's like when Jay beat CT and it was like, well, I mean, you were able to tie a chain and like untie some chains faster, but it, I don't know, like it wasn't like a, when it's like a hall brawl or a pole wrestle and it's like intimately one on one, those like really mean something to me. But when it's something like this where it's like a puzzle, they're kind of random and they're kind of meant to be that way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, physical. I'm sure Laurel could take down Raven, right? All right, let's move on to episode 12. The mission was we all fall down. This was kind of cool. Giant glass wall, and they would be on top of the water, and they would have like, just try and push each other off. It was fine looking. But let's talk about the champ, Cara Maria. She picks Chaos, and she picks Michelle in Blockheads. What do you remember from this?
I love the fact that Cara Maria picked Michelle. Like, I thought it was great because that alliance was controlling everything throughout this entire game. And it was like, no matter what, because our previous eliminations, like Big T and Melissa and Raven, they were all at the other side of the alliance, and all those girls were just getting picked off because they weren't like in with Michelle. Because Michelle, she had her girls that she was with, like Berna and uh, Mariah and Olivia and Nerys. Like those were the girls in the position of power most of the game. So I thought it was really great that Cara Maria picked her. I don't like, because it kind of even the playing field a little bit, the randomness of that. So I thought it was a cool elimination because there was like puzzle pieces were all these big blocks and they had to roll these blocks and move them into place.
Yeah, very heavy blocks. And I think Cara Maria is a CrossFitter now. I'm not sure, but she was able to move these pretty good.
Yeah, I was really shocked that Cara Maria didn't get it faster, but
Yeah.
I feel like Michelle was getting answers and like direction.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I do remember that.
That was the equalizer. Like, and that's how you can bring on Laurel and Cara Maria and have them both lose, is you just have the cast members helping out with answers on puzzles. Like, I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me because I was like, if you want to beat them, you should be beating them legitimately, like with no help, one on one. But it's like, oh, you're gonna beat them. You'll be able to beat them, but you need the help. Like, I don't know.
Maybe the champions refused to not have a crowd. They're like, this is like having a championship UFC fight at that fucking Apex, man. There's no one there. You know what I mean? Like during the pandemic where like it was eerily quiet when they were fighting, And like I'm sure Tony Ferguson was like, the magic's not here. Like I work off of the oohs and ahs and shit. So yeah.
Laurel just wanted a hall brawl. Like Laurel wanted to smash somebody. And when she saw that, she was like, "Really? You flew me? Like I just took like a 12-hour flight, and now you're gonna have me
Yeah.
do this."
Oh my God.
She had to be pissed.
Do you think the champions are jet lagged? By the time they show up, they're like, oh my God, throw it up and shit.
Probably.
Oh my God. All
Yeah,
right.
they probably had to get on like a 12-hour flight. Then they're like, "Okay, here's the hotel. Spend the night here." And then they're like, "All right, now go over here. You're gonna be there at 4 in the morning." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, they put bananas there, so he like buys you drinks all night, and he's like, no, no, I gotta, you're like, bananas, I gotta do an elimination tomorrow. I was like, ah, bullshit, chug.
Yeah, is Bananas like the doorman at the hotel where he's just like, "Hey man, I got something I need you to do for me." He's like, "When you go there, you gotta ask some questions. See what Mariah's up to." They're like, "What? I didn't think you guys were dating." He's like, "It's complicated, trust me, but I need to know what's going on."
Bananas has been called out for being notoriously like he cheats on every girlfriend, right? So now that it's happening to him, oh man, we needed him to appear one time as a confession or like a cry, like he's crying while he's on the phone with someone. He's like, oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's really similar to like what would happen with like Jordan and Tori, where like Jordan has always cheated on his relationships, Tori's always cheated on the people she's with. Then they get together, and I was like, oh, now Jordan, like, wasn't Jordan with Nerys her first season?
God, I don't remember.
Pretty sure
Wow.
they were, and it was just like, okay, it's like, what did you expect? Like when you date a cheater, they're gonna cheat. Like they have. It's all documented on TV. It's not like it's rumors or something. Like, oh, I heard from cousin so and so. It's like,
All right, episode 13, where they played Getting Tanked. Wow, have no memory of what Getting Tanked was whatsoever. So we'll just cut to the champ that showed up, and it's Brad in all his bearded glory. He draws Kyland, and they're gonna play What's Going Down. Do you remember this one?
yeah, they I don't remember if they started at the top or they started at the bottom.
But either
But they
way,
had to
they have
like,
to like, yeah.
yeah, they have to traverse back and forth, up and down. They have to like break through it first. Like there's different layers. There's like 4 or 5 different platforms, and then carry a ball up. And it's endurance. And Brad has like no endurance. And it was just like it was the worst possible elimination to have Brad do. So I don't why in the fuck did they bring him out there to do this elimination?
Yeah.
Like Darrell, it would have been interesting to see Darrell do this because I think Darrell could have been like at least better than Brad at this.
And so then would Brad do the fire thing in his
Yeah,
place? He could,
sure. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I felt like some of the eliminations were definitely hokey. Like I don't know. Like because I feel like part of the problem was is you had these like spoiler alert, Kyland beats Brad. Brad loses because he was so slow. But this screwed up the format of the season because they kept bringing in champions to face the cast members, and the cast members kept winning. So then no one got eliminated. So we would just have episode after episode where people would go into elimination and then return to the house and no one goes home. So then by the end of the season, you run into a problem where there's too many damn people left on the show, and then they need to just purge out people.
Oh my God, we're one episode away from all that, Dave. Could you
I
just
know. But I just as we're talking through it, like it's abundantly clear that there's something wrong with the format of this show.
All right, let's get on with it then. Episode 14, they were playing Off in the Distance. This was a mini final. I don't remember anything from this, but I like it. I always like the mini finals. So
Is this the one where they were paddling in the night?
no, we already talked
Dark out?
about. No, no,
Okay.
no. That's after this, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. Let's just talk about the champ who shows up, and it's CT. And since they were in a stalemate, that means he got to show up with the mace, the mace of chaos or whatever. So he shows up, and that's where he's like, Jay, you beat me fair and square. And to me, I'm like, that is fucking great. He has matured so fucking much throughout the years, like CT is like, he wasn't in my top three. Now he is. Parts of it means because Evan is a piece of shit. So I have had to eventually take him off the list, but yeah. Uh,
Oh, that's funny. I mean, you're
but
basically saying that Evan would be in your Mount Rushmore if it wasn't for some of his extracurricular activities
you know
of
what?
assaulting women on the show.
Oh God. Yeah. I would say Wes, Evelyn, CT, and Abram are in my Mount Rushmore. Why not? Yeah. Do you got a Mount Rushmore, Dave?
Um, Abram's definitely not on it.
Oh
I would
my
say
God.
Wes. I'd say Wes, CT. Um,
He's like must choose female representation.
I mean, if I must, I will go with like Emily. All right,
You
I
don't
like
have
Emily
to.
Schramm a lot,
You don't
and
have
I loved
to.
Evelyn. Evelyn was great.
Yeah, there we go.
Landon, maybe it's like Landon, Evelyn, Wes, and CT.
That's fine too. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, let's get into that's the end of Chaos. So let's get into Conquest. We have only have 3 episodes, and it's going to be crazy how much people disappear. So the mission was Dark Tide. That was the
Wait,
night
who
kayaking.
did who did CT go against?
As soon as fuck, remember?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
And he
Asaf.
chose him.
You say that so fast. I like my brain doesn't compute that you're talking about Asaf.
Okay, we kind of overstepped this where CT's like, Horatio, why you here? And he's like, oh, I'm just getting put in like all the time and shit. And he's like, I could relate, going in the 11th hour, So he just chose Asaph on a whim, that was nuts. And when he defeats him, Jay, Emmanuel, they are just fucking crying, like they are just completely devastated by this. And CT's like, it was a math thing, by the way. That was weird.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
knew CT's good at math, but yeah.
I like that Asaf went home though, just because of he was aligned with Jay, and like it's weird because I started this season absolutely loving Jay and loving Michelle, and I ended this season hating Jay and hating Michelle, just because they had so much power the entire time. I couldn't fucking stand them by the end. But I like that CT didn't pick Jay to go against because it doesn't make sense if he did, because if he chooses Jay and then he loses to him a second time, that's really bad, to lose to someone twice in a row. But if you lose to somebody else, it's like, they got me that time. So it made sense that he picked someone else.
All right. Well, oh, have to mention, remember CT, the last time we saw him, Spies, Lies, and Allies, he got in shape again. He was like, oh, I got rid of the dad bod. I still got it. Well, all the weight's there again. I remember him crouching down doing math. I'm like, look at that gut. Guts back. And again, CT, I cannot, who am I to judge? All right. I'm morbidly obese, technically. So, yeah. All right, let's get into episode 15, Dark Tide. That's the night kayaking and stuff. And they introduce purges. If you get last place, you get purged. Do you remember what happens? Who goes home?
Um, doesn't was it James or Mariah? Or,
No, 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 no,
no, it was
no.
Raven. Was it Raven?
Yes, it was Raven.
Okay.
That's really too bad too, because I think it was between her and Mariah, but they were like, technically it was Raven. But I feel like they were like, Mariah's just so hot. Maybe if we choose, Raven over her, we'll get a chance. I think that was like the producers thinking.
Well, it's because Johnny Bananas is probably a producer at this point. That's probably how he knew. Like Johnny Bananas is like holding the camera up in front of TJ. He's like, "Shh, don't acknowledge me. I'm not here." That or do you think it's like Undercover Boss, where like Johnny Bananas wears a disguise and he's got like a mullet and like weird sunglasses and a mustache, and it's like it's actually Bananas, but everybody just thinks it's the cameraman.
I for one was really saddened that Raven went home. Between the two, I was like, Raven deserves it more because she was in a lot of eliminations, and yeah, she's just gone. That was really sad.
Yeah,
So,
she was really likable. I liked her a lot. Um, it was unfortunate.
let's talk about the new elimination where there's 3 people now from a from a dueling like voting system. The last three people have to go in. Um, but it's puzzles. It's three different puzzles, and I don't care. I am so sick of puzzles. So it's between Horatio, Kyland, and Zara. Zara struggled on that wall. Remember that?
Yeah,
And
because
then
she went
after,
through like the mud first and got slippery.
well, either way, it was hard. They changed that after that. They put like stepping pieces of wood so you could just climb up it like a wall or a ladder after that. And because back then it was just the rope. You would have to climb the
Oh, I
rope.
didn't notice that.
Yep, they changed it. They're like, oh shit, we did not account for uh not necessarily having the arm strength. We're going to be dipping into some battle of the sexes type of like, interesting. All the heavyweight stuff the guys are winning, like I don't know.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you know, it's a free for all. There's guys versus girls. So like, how do they design stuff so it's not like based off of like strength or size?
Yeah. I don't know. Zara gets eliminated. That was sad. But isn't it weird though? Do you think they because the next ones are going to be two get eliminated and one survive. This one, it's two survive, one eliminated. Why? Why do you think?
I don't know.
Was it
Like,
just more dramatic that way? When two,
I guess I think they did it for like the dramatic, like, ooh, didn't see that coming. Because if they do it this way, and it might just be a numbers thing. If you look at the remaining people in the cast, how many people they want to get rid of, and so like when they're producing it, they're like, okay, this is going to be an elimination. This will be an episode. So like, how many episodes are we going to be able to have? And then how many people do we want left for the final? So if it
um,
was like an odd number that they wanted to get rid of, they're like, we'll do one this time and then two the next time, and then two the next time. That way you get rid of five people.
do you
But
remember when? Oh, sorry, but do you remember when, for some reason, Horatio and Kyland are like, "Hey, Kyland, you go up there first and say you're the only survivor." Remember that?
yeah,
Yeah, and it was drawn out so much, and then finally Horatio shows up, and that's after why like a bunch of people were crying. Like Olivia's like, "I fucking killed him, my own best friend," or whatever. And then it goes over like a fucking lead balloon. Kylan's like, just kidding," but everyone's like, "What?" Like they're all still like, like this is funny. Yeah.
it reminds me of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Frank is like, ah, your mother's dead. And they're like, what? Mom died? He's like, no, no, I'm just kidding. They're like, what? You're kidding? Why would you kid about that? He was like, you drop the bomb, then you lighten the load.
God damn it. Oh, I forgot to mention, I was rooting for Zara. I thought she was the future champ. I was like, she's gonna do this, she's gonna beat the guys, she's gonna win the whole thing. That just really sucks. Too bad the producers didn't know to fucking put the pegs on the wall until they saw you uh do bad on it. So let's go to episode 16. Oh, you got something?
Well, I was just gonna say that like Zara was the way they designed this was just basically like off of the politics in the house where they would have whoever wins, if it was as long as it was someone in the like powerful alliance, and then they all just pick a person to save, and then that way you get three people in the bottom alliance, and like the bottom alliance was people like Raven, Zara, uh Horacio, and what's his name, and
Hi, Kylan?
Kylan, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have all these people who are super great competitors who are going to be awesome in a final, but because they're not in the right alliance, they're all just going to be thrown into eliminations where either one or two of them is going home, and you're just getting rid of the best players in the game. Meanwhile, you have players like Colleen, players like Corey, and like Jay, who was not tested in any way until he gets to the final. So I don't know. It's just like a stupid format where it's like, why can't we try and get the best players to the final?
Yeah, so flawed. But let's get into episode 16. The mission was End of the Line. Do you remember this where they're on those ropes and you got to like let go, slide, and then stop yourself from coming off the rope? Oh my God. This was
It
so
was the
annoying.
dumbest thing ever. It didn't even work how they were planning, I don't think. It was a complete failure of a mission because who was it? I think it was Corey and James, or maybe it was
Like,
Kyland and
oh, who all
like,
fell?
well, all the heavy people, anybody who weighed
Yep.
like over 180 pounds, like the brake on it would not work. So they would let go of it and it's supposed to break and it wouldn't. And they would just keep sliding and then it'd fall off. And they're like, what the hell? And like was it Kyland or Horacio? Like completely shredded through his gloves, like busted up his hands, like rug burn, trying to hold on to it because the brake wouldn't hold on.
Yeah.
Like,
That was so gross. Do you remember who got purged?
I think it was James, wasn't it?
No,
Or
it was
no,
Ed.
Ed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ed was a big muscular guy and he weighed more than some of the skinnier people, like Jay.
Yeah. But by the time this happened, I was like, "Oh, Ed, you brought me down, though. You disappointed me before this because remember, like everyone turned on him and he was gonna go in, but he just happened to not get drawn or whatever. And then when it's his time to finally, change it up, he's like, yeah, realize that that whole all your alliance were throwing you in the previous episode. Now that he's in uh power or whatever, he's like, nope, haven't learned a damn thing. So like within those moments, I'm like, whatever, Ed, bye, bitch.
Yeah, I really loved Ed, but you're right. He did not kind of learn from his mistakes and like understand how this game is played. Like, and like in a way, he played it smart until right towards the end because he was kind of doing like Derek K, his
Yeah.
playbook, where it was like he sees who the powerful alliance is and he just aligns himself with them. And he's always every vote, he's just like gonna go with the group, nothing personal, just going with the group, gotta go with the numbers. And like Ed would say it just like Derek would always say it. So like his game reminded me of that. But the thing is like Derek actually like had friendships with the people he was doing that with, and they weren't gonna backstab him. Where like Ed was doing it with a lot of strangers and that ended up backstabbing him.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk about the the three-way elimination or whatever between Horatio, Kyland, and Nerys. Again, just puzzles, and I was convinced. I'm like, Nerys, you have no chance because Horatio and Kyland even helped each other on one of the puzzles, right? Something like that. Yeah, but Nerys, she got it done.
Didn't it just come down to that Sudoku puzzle?
Fuck Sudokus. I don't even like
I
them in
know.
life. God damn it.
It was just like Sudoku, and it was like you have a certain amount of numbers, and I'm like, oh, this can't be that difficult. And then I realized like they didn't give you the same amount of tiles as there is openings. You have a bunch of extra tiles that are just like dummy tiles to screw with you, which increase the difficulty even more because if you just had a certain number of tiles, it would make sense. But the fact that they would have extra just makes it more difficult.
And Horatio, this time they're like, oh, two people get eliminated, you know? Horatio and Kylan are eliminated, and I'm like, I think I might check out emotionally. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, who's here? Like, even though
Yeah, this
Nerys, yeah,
this was the breaking point. I'm like, you're getting rid of like the two best people who I want to see in the final. Like, I wanted to see Ed in the final, and it's unfortunate that he lost over, especially like a stupid elimination. But then to have Kyland and Horacio go like this, I don't know. It like, and it really pissed me off. It made me really hate Olivia because Olivia was part of the
God.
reason why they went in.
I forgot. Yes. Oh my God. Throughout this whole thing, she's like, "Oh, Horatio is too into Nerys. I feel like we're not friends because he doesn't talk to me and stuff." And I think from Horatio's point of view, he's like, "Listen, we said we weren't going to vote against each other. That's it." He never said, "Oh, I'm going to check up on you every episode." No, he never said that, you know? Oh my God. And even when they had a close to an argument at that bar, Horatio was like, Why are you saying this? Are you talking to Jay or something?" Like, he really kind of broke it down. He's like, "I think people are just getting in your head." One of the most damning things is Olivia and Horatio's relationship. I loved Olivia before, but not anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you really said it. Like, Horacio broke it down, told her, like, hey, they're all getting in your ear. They're making you doubt our friendship because it was just like it was an alliance and it was a ride or die alliance, you know? It was unspoken and it was just like, well, not totally unspoken. Like, they had talked about it, like,
Yeah.
hey, I got your back. But that doesn't mean like Horacio, he's spending 100% of his time with Nerys for good reason. You know, they're like this house, this entire house, this entire season has just been people hooking up like the whole time. You know, you had like Mariah and James, you had Emmanuel and Colleen, and then Emmanuel and Raven,
One
and
more.
like,
One more. He got with someone else too.
oh, he did. Who was the third one?
Oh shit, I don't remember anymore, but there was a third, yeah.
And then there's like Melissa and Kylan, like we mentioned before. Um,
Hold on. Is Emmanuel our horniest champion ever? He hooked up with like three girls.
yeah. Oh my gosh. He like
Okay.
checked all the boxes on like a challenge experience like this season. Not only champion, but like conquering like, oh man, I got with he's like, I got with a blonde chick, a European chick. Now I gotta get with a dark chick. Okay. Like he's just checking all the boxes.
Oh God. All right. Well,
I don't know. It like Olivia really pissed me off. Back to the point. Olivia
yeah.
really pissed me off when she is like, "Oh, I'm gonna save Mariah." So, and it was just like, why in the hell would you save Mariah and James? Like, Mariah and James have done literally nothing for her in her game. Like, they're part of the same alliance, but like, they're basically competing for the same spot on that alliance. So if she can save Horacio, she's maintaining her alliance plus adding someone from the other side and saving them. So she's getting protection from both sides. She can kind of play the middle perfectly, but she didn't. She just threw Horacio, and you know, like once she picks Mariah, then Mariah picks James, and then you know Nerys is the odd one out, along with you know Kyland and Horacio.
They, I remember though, right before this all went down, I think they cut to a flashback after she made the vote, and they went up to her and they're like, "Listen, this woman, we're gonna either choose her or you, or something like that." Do you remember any of that?
Yeah, there was a scene where they like I think it was Jay and Michelle were talking to Olivia and they told her like, "Hey, we want you to vote this way." And she was just like, "Okay." Like
Yeah.
like she didn't put any thought into it other than she was just following orders. And it was like, "Olivia, use your brain. Like think about it. Like if they're all safe, it doesn't matter. You like once you're safe, like we're right at the end of the game here. So you can choose who you want to save and who you want to be friends with going forward. Because now once she backstabs Horacio, like that's gone. Like that relationship is going to be broken forever. So any future seasons, they're not going to be on the same side working for each other. They're immediately going to be on like opposite sides working against each other from forever.
Cut to season 40 where they're on the same team. Tensions. Okay, but I do have to, side with Olivia just a little bit because you know what? It might be the CTE. She took a fucking golf ball to the skull. Remember that? So,
Oh my
she's
god.
not thinking clearly, man. Come on. All right, let's go to episode 17. This is right before the final now. It's called Drum Roll. That's when they were on top of that giant rotating thing. And apparently a lot of people got fucked up. Like this was one of those
Yeah.
missions. Yeah.
I didn't realize that until like I was reading it afterwards. All the injuries that people were having from falling off that because it seems like they just had it too high up in the air.
Yeah. And like going way too fast or something like that. Um, but anyways, do you remember who got purged?
Mm,
This is right before the final.
I don't remember. I think I know.
Michelle.
Ah, yeah.
Michelle deserved better than this, you know? Like, I didn't like it when it happened to Raven. I didn't like it when it happened to Ed, even though I was just giving him shit. I still don't like purges in general. So to have Michelle going from like the queen bee of the whole fucking infrastructure, well, Jay and Michelle, she's like Harris, you know. Jay's Biden in this equation.
Uh,
So
I don't totally agree with that. I think Michelle has more power than Jay.
oh God, here we go. Yeah, I believe Harris is actually controlling Biden.
Well, no, I think Obama's controlling Biden, but
God.
that's
Oh my
another
God.
here and
Okay.
there. I
So,
think Michelle is the real person in charge. I think Jay, I don't know, because
uh,
they're a team, but I think Michelle has more sway.
okay, so that's interesting because in general, she might, I don't know, that's tough. I consider them almost equal, but remember their arguments where Michelle's like, Jay, what the fuck? You're not, we are a team, right? And she was like, yeah, yeah, we're a team. You know? But I don't know. I felt like Jay was kind of, he really becomes the heel in this season. And I don't hate him for it. You know what I mean? I actually didn't mind that he was the bad guy in a way, you know? But Michelle deserved more. She was right up there with him. I wanted to see her in the final. I wanted all the planning, all the alliance to pay off, but it didn't. This sucks. God damn.
Yeah, it was a bummer. And the reason I say it, I don't know, Michelle's above Jay is just because of the way she plays the game. She plays it like someone who played Survivor, which
Oh yeah, she
and
did, right?
she's always constantly like working the relationships in her alliance. Like she's always going up to Berna, reassuring her, like, doing all this extra legwork. Like every conversation means something. And it's always about like having their back, reassuring them. Like if Horacio, I guess, had done that to Olivia, then Olivia wouldn't have done what she did. But we
Oh,
know that like
yeah.
Michelle had to have been like going up to Olivia, always reassuring her, like, "Hey, I got your back. I'm your best friend here." And it ultimately it paid off. You know, at least up until this point where she got eliminated. Like I don't know. It was the ending parts of these, like the ending episodes here, because you had so many champions come in and lose, like Cara Maria and Laurel and Darrell and Brad, because they couldn't get eliminate people out of the show. Then they're just doing all these purges, and they're like, whoever gets last place in this mission has to leave, and then double eliminations, and I don't know. It just screwed with the momentum of the season, and
Yep.
it was weird because there's certain people that we haven't even mentioned, like Corey and Colleen, who weren't even super strong players. They were just protected by this mob alliance.
Oh, for sure. Oh, well, let's get into the final three-way elimination before the final. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Nerys versus James versus Olivia. Nerys pulls out the win. That's awesome. Um, James overall, I kind of wish that he had something outside of his relationship with Mariah, Like that's all he had was he's like, oh, poor me, I'm getting laid constantly. You know what I mean? So you can't hate him and you can't love him really. But then Olivia, again, with like, oh, Horatio is not talking to me and shit like that. Like I was just like, goodbye then, Olivia. Yeah.
Yeah, like with Olivia and James, it didn't really matter to me. And it was great to see Nerys win because she was constantly like being thrown in and constantly like she had suddenly like Olivia had taken her spot in the alliance, where it was like Olivia was ranked above her and they're like, Nerys, and because I think they all viewed Nerys as a threat too. So it was great to see her. Like Nerys is absolutely phenomenal. James, yeah, like you said, James is nothing more than like muscles and like he's got a good personality. I think he's a really like calm, chill guy. So he seems like friendly to hang around like the house because he's never like angry or upset. He's not like super emotional ever. Like, Corey and Jay, they're they're so like emotionally like scattered. Where like James is always just like, and it's probably because he's getting laid all the time, so he's just like he's like got nothing to be upset about. But
I was gonna, I was also gonna mention. All right, so you're like, oh, James is chilling shit, but I'm like, yeah, because he's off his regular steroid cycle. You ever see that guy's fucking back? Total back knee, steroid back knee. Holy shit. But other than that, yeah, he looks cool. He looks like Kevin Sorbo as Hercules, man. He's got the hair and the arms.
oh, he does,
Uh,
yeah, for sure.
all right, man. Well, we could get into the final. How long have we been recording, dude? Are you ready to go into the final?
Yeah,
All right. Yeah. Okay, let's get into the final itself. We got to start off though before anything happens. Letters from the family sequence. Do you remember this little tear
yeah,
jerking segment?
they're ripping off the Survivor show, where they're like, oh, your family visit, or like letters from home.
Okay.
It was kind of just ripping that off, and it was just like a waste of time on the episode. I felt like because it just like I don't know. We're getting to know the characters more, but it's just like everyone just cries and then they talk about their family.
Yeah, it's just not the same because they can video chat throughout the season, right? They could call whoever.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe there's something special about a handwritten letter that still gets everyone, you know? Oh my God, though. Okay, so everyone cries, right? But cut to someone who that's her thing. She cries. What's her name? Brianna.
Berna.
What's her name? Berna. Yeah.
Yeah,
So Berna is like, oh, wait a minute. Everyone's sitting at the table crying. I gotta one up and stand out. I'm gonna get out from the table and walk away a couple feet and kneel and cry. Oh my God. I am so sick of Berna. Oh my God.
Berna has probably one of the most annoying personality traits. She's well, not personality trait, not but like personality overall. Like she has to. Everything's about her. She has no like perspective of how other people view her, how other people like would. Like, everything's about her. She's so self-centered in everything. It's just like relax. Like it's not everything's about you, Berna. All right. I
Yeah.
don't know. As Berna was one of my few favorite parts about the final. We'll get there, but
Yeah, damn it. She's terrible. Okay. So this is the final part one, and it's gonna be divided into three parts once again. Control, chaos, and conquest. So we'll cover control very quickly. That's where all seven players have to work together. They're tied together. They have to run through a castle randomly and try and find colors that match their own. Then they gotta carry those heavy ropes, and then they have to make a puzzle all within a certain amount of minutes. Right away, I'm like, oh, this is going to be impossible. If they lose $16,000 from the pot. Do you remember any of this?
yeah, it's one of the most pointless things I've ever seen. Like, if it's a free for all final, why are we chaining everyone together? It should all be like if you have this awesome castle, which is like this great set piece that they can use, and they used it this way, which makes no sense to me. Like, it should have been a free for all where you're looking for like certain colors and certain numbers on like pieces and you're trying to find your puzzle piece. Like maybe you look at like the clue or something, you have a puzzle board and you need to find certain numbers and colors, and then you run throughout the castle and try and find them. But instead they just chain them all together and they have to go and find these ropes scattered about, but they have to move slowly because they're all chained together. I just thought it
So
was stupid.
okay, but before any of this happens, this is the introduction of TJ's Shakes or whatever. It's a bottle of tuna, beets, and mayonnaise. And you have to chug these smoothies or whatever before they even do that. And this isn't going to be the first time. It's going to be spread out throughout the final where you have to drink these things. And it's like, wow, I don't care after the first one, you know? Like, God. Does that sound really awful to you, though?
I mean, it sounded gross, and it was like, okay, yeah, they got to drink it. That's fine. But then on like the 10th one, it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, what is the point of this? Like, I I don't know. It made no sense to me. It's like it's like what is this adding to anything? Like, if you want to add like a food portion to it where they have to like eat a large amount of food or something gross, that's fine. But that's usually like just like when you have like a puzzle station, you have to pass that puzzle. And you get the eating station, you have to pass that eating station. But to just randomly have them like drinking something disgusting multiple like before and after like every obstacle, I don't know. It doesn't add anything, and it's just kind of stupid.
Yeah. And like, why? It's not even that terrible where they throw up a lot. Like, Berna cries because she's like, I don't want to do it, but she does it. So you just have a bunch of minutes of people just like drinking this thing, like, well, that sucked. Way to go, producers. Yeah. Okay, so this whole tie him up, tied together, find ropes and shit. They end up losing. So they all have to nominate someone for elimination, and that's Corey. Corey picks Jay. What do you remember of this and the outcome?
Well, they voted Corey because Corey dropped a rope um at some point, and he didn't realize he dropped it, so he had to go back and get it, and it lost them more time. Yeah, and then it was they had to like with one hand they were pulling to balance this board, and then they had to
Yeah,
stack stuff on top of it and build their puzzle up to a certain height with one hand while they're holding it with another, I think.
something weird like that. Yeah,
And it
balancing and yeah.
yeah, it made sense. I don't know. It kind of looked like it was easier for Corey to do it because Corey has much longer arms than Jay does. So I thought that Corey had an advantage in that sense. Um, but I don't feel like Corey or Jay are really that great of competitors. Like we never really saw them like really shine at any point this season. They didn't go into eliminations really.
Jay won the rope burn thing because
Yeah,
he's a
because he
rock
barely
climber.
weighs anything. I don't know. That
And
was
he's
like
right.
that
Oh,
was the
oh,
stupidest mission there was.
we have to mention Corey is the one guy who chose like one of them had to carry more ropes or heavier ropes. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it was and Corey ended up doing it. And he struggled with it. Corey is the biggest person in this final, and he struggled with it. Jay was like, God damn it, Corey, and I should have picked it. And I'm like, Jay, no, like you're smaller, you're definitely lighter than Corey. Those ropes were heavy as fuck. Yeah, yeah. I think they were doomed to from the beginning. Producers were like, oh man, we blew 16K at the bars last night, so let's decide something, to fuck it up so that they never know.
Yeah, that was like the thing where they're gonna take away 16,000 from the prize pot. And it's like, why are you doing this? Like it just seems like a money grab. I don't know, it just seemed like the government trying to take more taxes. Where they're like, well, you better do this or we're gonna take more of your income. Mm.
Well, goodbye, Jay. You were a heck of a. I was impressed by this man. I thought he was good.
Yeah. Jay was good. I hated him because he was in power of this alliance the whole game, as
Right.
was Michelle. and they controlled basically like who ended up showing up to the final. Like they were in control of all of it. But Jay, I don't know, but like they were just victims of circumstance because like if Jay wasn't picked by Corey, then maybe he would have gone on to like at least do good in the final. We don't know. And Michelle, she was kicked out before it even started. So it was like they controlled everything and they managed to get rid of like, well, they didn't get rid of Ed, but kind of did. And then, Kyland, Horacio, like they got rid of all these good players. And now we're stuck watching a final with Berna and Colleen and Corey. And it's like,
Layups.
yeah, it's like it was an all layup final, except for like Emmanuel, because it's like I don't know. I wanted to see Emmanuel, Horacio, Kyland, and Ed. Like those were the four guys I wanted to see. And then for the girls, I wanted to see Zara, Raven, and Nerys. Those were
Michelle
the three
too.
girls, and Michelle. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Okay,
we didn't get
well, okay, so when it was time for Corey to pick who to go against, he was like, I want to see a woman win this thing. So he chose Jay. Remember that? Holy shit. Okay, so let's get into chaos. And this is going to be rotating pairs, but their clocks will be individual or whatever. The first part, a giant ball. There's it's ropes tangled in this giant ball. Untangle that, then you have to push the ball across the field. Remember this?
a little bit.
Yeah. So this is going to be first, second, and third place. Emmanuel and Colleen, first place. Corey and Nerys, second place. And in third place, Mariah and Berna. They get it, but they struggle a lot. What's the common thing about this third place?
Berna,
Well,
Berna's gonna
yes.
get laughed a lot.
No, it's that this is the one team with two women on it.
Oh yeah.
All right. So with that being said, let's get into the second part where they got a kayak and then they got to do a puzzle. So Emmanuel and Berna get first. Corey and Colleen get second. Nerys and Mariah time out. Two women tying out. Timing out. That sounds kind of hot to me, but it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're really realizing that Mariah is not very good at anything.
I thought you said it was Berna in the last one. Now it's Mariah's fault.
Oh, it's both of them and Colleen. I'll throw Colleen in there as well. She's
Let's
not
see if
very
she
good
ever.
either.
Okay, hold on. All right, let's get to the next one where it's trivia. You carry a chest and you have to cut them off using a rope saw. Do you remember that?
Yeah, Colleen struggled with it, and like Colleen had to do it earlier in the season where she was like having a meltdown and she couldn't do it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But Emmanuel gets first with Mariah, then Corey and Berna in second place, and in third place, two women. Time out. Nerys and Colleen. This is looking bad. Bad. All right, let's get into the eating portion where it's like jalapeno shots. Jalapeno, right? Shots. Stomach surprise, whatever that means. Lamb's brain and an eyeball. Now, let's see how this shakes up. Corey and Mariah, they get first. Emmanuel finally comes in second with Nerys. And in third, two women can't eat this shit. But Colleen actually finished first. This is all on Berna. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Ugh.
and like Berna, she was struggling after the very first thing they were doing, pushing that ball with Mariah. Berna was struggling then. So at this point in the final, Berna's really struggling. She can't run. She's having like mental breakdowns as usual. It was a mess, and she can't eat. She can't drink anything.
I felt so bad for Colleen, is what I'm saying. She literally was the first person to finish. and the whole time she just had to stand there. And Burns like, don't talk or whatever. And Colleen's like, well, I'm trying to like, encourage you. And Burns like, no, don't even do that. And can't stand fucking Berna. But let's
But
get
didn't
into yeah.
I thought didn't TJ say like, "Come on, Colleen, like encourage your
Oh
teammate."
right,
Like,
yeah.
and it was like teach like Berta just said, "Colleen, go away. Leave me alone." And then TJ's like, "Come on, Colleen, be a better teammate. Encourage your
Ah,
teammate." And it was like there's nothing Colleen can do other than wait.
yeah, god damn it. All right, well, let's talk about the ball ramp, where you each have to put these things together and then drop a ball, and that has to roll down into a barrel or something like that. Remember that?
Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah. It is a revamp of the Kylan versus whatever elimination that we had earlier. Yeah, Huey. All right. But in first place, oh, we got a shakeup. We have two women finally winning, Nerys and Berna. Wow. See, Dave, you've been proven wrong. Berna coming in first. And then we have Emmanuel and Corey in second place. And then in third place, another two women thing, Mariah and Colleen. And they also time out. This is harsh, man. Yeah, harsh. So now
Yeah.
Emmanuel is safe. Huh?
And we're this far into the final so far where you're running solo, but everything's been teams and partners. Like, make it make sense. Like, just let them run by themselves. Like, they don't let them run by themselves until, coming up here. And it's like, what took so long?
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. Well, no, first, Emmanuel ended up winning chaos. So now he has to choose one person to go into elimination. Then that person will choose or will draw someone else's name. So he picks Nerys, and Nerys picks randomly Mariah's name, and they play, I don't know, put the block in the block hole. It's almost like a game of shapes, but not really. Underneath, you have to fit like 7 bricks in this box. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
there's like a puzzle, but you only have like an opening that's this big. And you got to fit all the blocks in there and tuck them into a corner because some of them are like L shaped, some are just like rectangles, and you got to get them all to fit in there.
Yeah, very not interesting to watch. It
No, it
sounds
wasn't. It
cool.
was just a puzzle. It was a puzzle. So it's like an equalizer in case it's a guy versus girl. It's not like based off of strength. And Nerys is like the puzzle queen. Like she can't be beaten in a puzzle.
Right, but like not only is this a puzzle, which is not fun to watch at all, but we don't even get to see the puzzle being done because their hands are in just this box. So we're just like, we're looking at someone feeling their way through a puzzle. Wow, my God. Why hasn't this been done before? Oh my God. All right, but Mariah is eliminated. What are your thoughts? What are you rooting for?
No, not really. I mean, she'd kind of proven that she wasn't very good, but also Berna was not very good, and Colleen wasn't very good. Like Nerys is the only girl here that's any good, and Emmanuel is the only guy there that's any good. I feel like.
Gosh. Okay. Well, let's get into. Oh my God, this is so annoying. Okay, so now this is all conquest, right? So it's a night challenge to start off with, where you're going to be competing for a pillow, a blanket, or a chair you can use all night. But before you do that, there's like these chips and a grid, and you stick your fingers and you just like, inch by inch, move them up this little fence and then get them out. And, as soon as you win, you can sabotage someone else to make their night even longer and put chips in their thing. Like, what the fuck, man? And not interesting to watch whatsoever. But let's see here.
And it takes them
Nerys,
hours to do this, like
yes.
4 or 5 hours to complete it. Especially once they're forced to dump into someone else's bucket to or like in their container.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense because they're like, I don't even want to do this, but like they're forcing me. So I'm sorry.
Yeah. Nerys gets first. I don't know who she, maybe it's Colleen she sabotages. I don't remember anymore. It was something out of left field for me, but I was like, oh, whatever. And then Emmanuel in second, and then Berna. What would you have gotten? The pillow, blanket, or chair, Dave?
Blanket. Like it's
Yeah.
not even close. It's the only thing that matters is a blanket. Like you can sleep without a pillow or like I don't. What is a chair gonna do? You're just gonna sit down? Like you can sit on the ground. I don't know. It was so stupid, and it ended up being all the cast eventually was done with their puzzle, and they're just sitting on the beach for like 3 more hours, just waiting for TJ to show up. Like nobody's able to sleep. There's nowhere for them to sleep.
Right.
Like what the f is the point of this? Like just have them continue on. But I guess TJ needs to take a nap, so TJ is sleeping somewhere comfortable and the rest of the production crew, other than like the one cameraman who like drew the
Yeah.
short straw, he's got to stay up all night.
He's like,
I don't
fuck,
know. So it's
man.
totally pointless.
Yeah, he's like, I drew the short straw in Rivals 1, uh, Rivals 3. This sucks, man. All right, well, stopbeingpolite.com, I was like trying to look up, like, what was this called? What was this mission or whatever called? I couldn't figure it out. But stopbeingpolite.com, they were like, where they compete in all night finger blast. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, stopbeingpolite.com is stop being polite.
I mean, I we could only wish it was that exciting.
Given the competitors, sure. Yeah. Nerys. All right. Well, anyways, the next portion is you got to swim, and then after that, you got to swim to a beach. But what are you gonna do once you get to that beach, Dave? You got to drink the stupid tuna beaten mayo smoothie. Oh my God! Fuck off. First place is Manuel, followed by Colleen, Corey, Nerys, Berna. And Berna's crying so much because she has to do this one fucking shake for the fourth time or whatever. And she's like, I don't know if I could do this. But she does it. I'd say cut all that shit out. I don't want to see it. If they don't do it, show that. But if they do, I don't know. I don't know why I'm so mad, but I'm so mad about that. Okay, so next portion is you got to rappel down the cliff, which actually looks kind of fun. Corey, he was fucking crying though. He's like, I'm not about to be upstaged by fucking Berna. I can cry with the best of them. I don't know. What'd you think about that portion?
Oh, it was weird because it was like it seemed simple. Um, but I feel like Corey just didn't trust like the production and the people who built it. They're like, is this really safe? Like, this doesn't seem safe because they're supposed to go down it, but they have to like go down straight. They have to be facing that way.
Right.
And it's like your natural instincts, like when you're rappelling down something, is you're facing the rock wall. So you're kind of going backwards. Like, that's the normal way you would do it, but they're having you do the reverse, and that's screwing with a lot of them. It's not the normal way to do it. So,
Oh shit. So
you
would
know.
you have been like Corey, just like no?
No, I mean, I don't know. As long as I saw one person do it successfully and they didn't die, like if I saw Emmanuel go and do it, I'm like, okay, if he can do it, and he didn't die, like I can do it. I'm not going to do it as fast as him, but probably not going to die in the process.
So okay, so once you get down the hill, you do a tangram puzzle, whatever that means, and there's also a 15-minute time cap. Oh, some fans have mentioned that Berna, who was crying about like, oh, I hurt my groin muscle or I pulled it or something like that, right? She's smiling and enjoying herself while she's going down this cliff. A lot of fans are like, hey, what the fuck? Oh God.
Uh, are they suggesting that she was just lying about that injury as an excuse as to why she was so bad?
Okay, it's between her and that blonde European chick who was like, hello, everybody. I have a song about an alien and shit like that. Like, she would always shout. She was so annoying. Do you remember her from like
Was her
Double
name Emma?
Agents? Maybe.
or
Who's worse
something
though?
like that.
It's tough between her and Berna. Whew.
Berna is better than that other one because
Yeah.
that other lady, she was crazy. She was way more annoying. Like, and it's weird because Berna's super annoying, but
Uh, Emmanuel wins this one, and then Colleen comes in second. Good for her. Uh, okay, in this, oh my God. Okay, we're on to this next one here, where you start off drinking the tuna beet mayo smoothie before you go into an underwater memory challenge. Like, whose idea was this? Did they pay a company to make these smoothies? And they're like, well, fuck, we paid so much money, we might as well fucking use them for fuck's sake, you know? Jesus Christ. I hate it. No idea.
I don't know. Were they putting like Gatorade in it? So like, oh, they're gonna be hydrated and they won't overheat, but we'll also add some gross ingredients like, that's fat and protein. It'll they'll be tired, but it'll give them sustenance, but it'll be gross tasting. Like, I don't know. I'm sure their discussions are like, it's a two-pronged effect. One will give them nutrition, and other it'll be difficult and challenging, and we will implement them throughout the challenge. And they're like, this is a great idea. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
And then yeah, let's have them drink them before they have to go under the water. Didn't they have like a snorkel or something? And it's like, or
They
am
might
I
have.
wrong?
They might have.
But it's like, well, they're just gonna like belch and vomit this up into their snorkel and then like choke on the water.
Oh my
Oh, this
God.
sounds miserable.
Yeah. Okay, so Emmanuel wins this also. Guys, cleaning up, man. Like that's Oscar talk when a movie wins every nomination that they're in. Yeah. He's damn near sweeping this final.
Yeah, like he won every like just about like every partnered thing, just about.
Hmm.
Or and if he didn't win, he did really well in it. And now that it's solo, he's just winning at everything as well. And it's like this would have been great if Kylan and Horacio were here to give this guy a little bit of a challenge.
Ed too, I would love him in there. Jay, fuck, like this. Damn it. Okay, well, let's get into the final thing. This is the five flags. It's basically the elimination, but five of them, five puzzles. Sudoku. Uh, that's the first one. The second one is you got to smash a barrel flat and stuff it in a box or some shit. Um, Color coordinate pegs. They're like on a slide or whatever. And then the fourth one is count the circles or something. It's a logic puzzle. I don't know. I didn't really understand that. And then stack and balance. Stack stuff. Press your foot on it, and it has to stay whatever when you raise it up. Um, yeah, that's all I have written down. Anything stand out? This final thing?
Like that stack and balance thing looked super wonky, like and almost incredibly difficult to do. And then all of a sudden, like everyone was, I think they just about like saved that for last because it was super difficult, or a lot of them did it last. And like eventually, I think Nerys got it first, but then she had to go and do something else or something. But Emmanuel gets it, and then I think it was like Colleen and Berna, like they just show them like holding the rope, and then they're like, "Oh, you're good." And I was like, "Did they really get it?" Like I don't know.
Oh,
I felt like who got third place? Was it Colleen?
yes.
Yeah. Like I feel like they didn't even show her complete it. They're just like, "Go on. We need a third person to cross the finish line, and no one else is going to be able to like complete this thing because it just seemed like impossible." I don't know.
Oh my God.
Like it was fine. It was just like a bunch of puzzles in a row. Like it's nothing that exciting other than like, oh, who's gonna get first?
And I for one have never enjoyed when they bring back what you've done during the season and repeat it in the final. Like, oh, nostalgia. No, fuck all that. Like, don't let this. No, the final to me, the better ones are the ones where you're doing something new. You know,
Yeah.
and yeah, and of course this is so bad because it's just five puzzles. Like, I'm so sick of it.
Yeah, and like when I think of like my favorite like endings to finals, it's not like people doing puzzles. It's like the grueling like 10-mile climb up a mountain where they're like, they're stopping and they're gasping for air. And like if you think of like Fresh Meat 2, or like Landon and Carly, and like they have to ride the bikes forever, and then once they're off the bikes, then they got to hike up the snowy mountain, and you're like, man, this looks grueling and incredibly difficult. But this, you're just like watching them struggle with puzzles and counting things and like balancing things, and it doesn't have the same. And then once they finish that, then it's just like, I don't know, a couple kilometer race to the end of the pier.
Right. Yeah, and that was an okay place to end, I guess. Like, where are they gonna have it end? I don't know. Emmanuel, he's gonna come in first. Uh, and I just feel like TJ's enthusiasm wasn't there, you know? Because
Yeah, it
Emmanuel,
was
he's like,
so anticlimactic. He's just like, congratulations, you won. Like, I won? He's like, yeah, you won. He's like, I did it.
yeah, Emmanuel was like, you're not giving me the positive vibes of someone's a champ right here. He's like, so I did win. Yeah, he didn't believe TJ just by the way he just like, all right. I was like, okay,
Like, where
yeah,
was your air horn? Or like,
yes.
push the button and then the fireworks shoot up or
Where's the
something.
big check?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
What were
Even
they
even
doing?
even if not that, like there's, they've given away little trophy things as, symbolic. None of that. Oh man, it sucked.
It's so weird because for all they know, they could be running to the end of the pier and then there's going to be like kayaks or canoes they got to jump in and then they got to go further. Like they don't know. They have no idea when this final is going to end. So like would it kill them to like let the challengers know like, hey, these are the stakes. We're going to do these puzzles and then you're going to run this distance and whoever gets there first, that's the fine, like that's the end of it. So it's all or nothing right now.
A little piece of ribbon or whatever that they have to run through or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Well, anyways, oh, you know what would have been better? All the champions that appeared as eliminators are there at the end of the pier, waiting for you to join them as a champion. That'd be cool. That's like the Oscars where they're like, "Hey, we have five past presenters," and they're like, we all won Best Actor years ago, Sonny." That would have been good.
That sounds like a video game ending where it's like, Mario gets to the end and then they like parade out like all the characters who were in the game as a
Uh,
credits roll. And you're like, oh yeah, remember that guy and that guy? Oh yeah, it's those ones.
like all the champions on a yacht, and he gets to get on the yacht, and they fucking party and shit like that, man. Something like that. Okay, but let's talk about second place, Nerys. Yeah, second place, and then followed by Colleen. Corey, bad balance, bro. You got to work on your balance, guy.
I forgot about that. He could not get across that thing. He was struck. I've never seen anyone struggle so hard at that.
How are you with balance? Pretty good.
Um, Above average, I would say. I'm pretty solid. I can balance on one foot. Like I think I could make it across. Like I don't doubt that I would probably fail one or two times, but I think I would definitely get it on the third try.
Yeah, he was bad. He was very uncoordinated. All right. Well, overall, does Emmanuel is he a true champ in your eyes? Because you mentioned like, well, what if they don't go in elimination, and then what if this doesn't happen and this? And to me, I'm like, if you win, you win. I don't care. It's fine.
He is a true champion because he didn't struggle at any point in this final. He made everything look easy. So even though he didn't have competition, like if he had like legit competition, then it would be awesome and it would be great to view. But even with no competition, he was still able to just beat everything really easily. Like nothing was difficult for him really.
Um, Berna, Arise finally in fifth place. So to end on that note. All right, that was the end. Oh, do you have the time to do a little challenge award ceremony?
Okay,
All right.
let's do
I
it
haven't
for the
prepared
season.
myself whatsoever. Yeah.
Me
But
neither.
okay, so let's get with best male champion. Um the nominees. Let's see here. I almost want to bring up the list of the complete cast, but let's see here. I'm gonna nominate Jay, Horatio, Kyland, Emmanuel, because you did win. And for the fifth spot, I was thinking maybe Ed, but I'm not sure. What do you think? Because I love me some Ed.
Uh, yeah, it's Emmanuel, J, Horacio, Kyland, and then the last one. I almost want to say Asaf
Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's good.
because I don't feel like Asaf is good, but like I don't know, he's very polarizing because a lot of times like I don't like his personality because he says he's super confident to the camera when he's talking to the camera. He's like, I'm so great, blah blah blah. Like I can do all of this stuff. But then when you watch him interact with the other castmates, he's super defensive and he seems like he has no confidence at all. So it's like this he's very two-faced.
So you're saying Asaf gets the nomination over Ed?
I think so just because he like had more camera time and it's probably just the edit.
Someone, I think it was Nerese, she was talking shit to Ed. She's like, oh, well, no one cares about your ass. You're not even invited to the reunion.
Oh, how did he not get invited?
I don't know. I didn't watch. So, okay. So we have, so Asaf, I would agree. Sure. Yeah. He got in people's faces. Yeah. He was memorable for sure. And when he left, everyone cried. So, you could show that clip. Emmanuel gets it because mostly his final performance. He also, for some reason, we're like, he got laid, motherfucker. So that's nomination enough. Um, Outside of that, he politically he was just fine the entire time. He was safe. Kyland gets a nomination because motherfucker was physical. He was smart. He was kind. He had a relationship with Melissa. So that's always, apparently we like that. The fucking getting ass points is like what we call it. So I would nominate him. And how many champions did he eliminate? Darrell, fucking someone else. That's cool. Oh, Brad, you know. Horatio gets the nominee because he was very good. He was also getting himself some from Nerese. He was also a good man. He was, you also see him slowly get betrayed by Olivia. So even when he's not around, he was being brought up. So yeah, and then finally Jay gets a nomination. This man put in alliances within alliances. Remember he had like the Fantastic Four. Remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
He has all the power. You see it go to his head when they're trying to get him nominated. He's just laughing. He's like, "Yeah, let's do it, motherfuckers!" and shit. He kind of overreacted when he could be going in, but it's like whatever. I can forgive that. Overall, Jay is. I'm really pushing for him to win this thing, but we'll see. Out of those five, who gets supporting and who gets best?
I think Jay gets best.
Nice, nice.
I think he has to. Supporting, mm, it's between Horacio and Kyland, I feel like.
Oh my God, exactly my thoughts. Yeah. That is tough though. I don't know.
It is because there's good points for both. Like, I have to go with Kyland because I feel like Kyland is like newer to me. Like I didn't know him that well. Like I felt like I got to know Horacio really well on his ride or die season. But on Kyland's first season, I don't feel like I really got to know him that much. And Kylan, like he constantly surprised me with just like how smart he is, how athletically gifted he is, but then like how he's able to like communicate, especially with like Melissa. Melissa would get offended over something, and he's like when he wouldn't kiss her in public, and she was all, offended because she's a pick me girl. She's got to get the attention. All has to be on her. And Kylan's like, no, that's not me. He's like, and it's he's like it. And he's like, that's between us. That's like a personal thing. It's not for everyone else. And like the way he's able to like communicate like his thoughts and his feelings. I don't know. He's a really good person. It seems like he's not just like I don't know. Like when I look at other people, like I don't know, Jay, he's just kind of a slime ball a little bit, where like he's just out for himself. But like Kylan, he met someone new and he cared for them, and he was really loyal to the people he was loyal to. He never betrayed anyone. I don't know. Kylan's super likable, so I think it's got to go to him.
And I agree. That's a good campaign. So Jay got best, Kylan got supporting. That's awesome. All right, let's move on to the women. Um, Michelle, I think, definitely gets a nomination. Um, let's see here. Oh my gosh. Through just annoyance, does Berna show up? I don't know. I really wish I had more of the names in front of me right now. Then I could
I would say like the top ones are probably Michelle, Nerys, Mariah, Olivia, and Zara, possibly Raven.
ooh, those are good names. Let's see here.
Like I'm leaving off Colleen and Berna because I just don't feel like they were very good.
I like Colleen. I did like her.
I liked
But
her. Well,
yeah.
I liked her to look at, but uh,
That's true. Okay, but she got third place overall. All right. Well, anyways, I think for sure Michelle gets a nominated. Nerys for sure. After that, I don't. Zara, I think. Well, should Zara get in there? She was good. Oh shit.
yeah, I feel like she should. And like, because most of the cast, they all feared her. They were all terrified of her and wanted to get her out. Like when they would talk about like, if we thinking long term, who do you want to run the final with? We don't want to run it against her.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we got three for sure. When it comes to Olivia and Mariah, where it's like, well, you were both you had a lot of screen time for being dramatic and shit. So it's like, well, out of the two, I don't know. But you mentioned um both of them and possibly Raven, right? All
Yeah.
right, you know what? I think that's fair. Mariah, Olivia, Zara, Nerys, and Michelle. Those are our five. Okay, shit, man. I might go with Michelle best, Nerys supporting.
For me, it's Nerys best, Michelle supporting,
Okay, okay.
simply because Nerys just killed it at the end of this. Like she was unstoppable. Like to come out of like two of those double eliminations in a row as the winner, that was awesome. And then to go on in the final and be awesome in the final.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think it's because Michelle's game, alliance and social and all that shit, and she defeated fucking Cara Maria. Those are all extra points,
Yeah.
and yeah, she had great. She even hooked up. We give men that point. Why not give it to her?
Who did Michelle hook up with?
Callum.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
However,
Oh,
Nerys gets the same points because she was with Horatio, right? So,
well, she gets more points for that because Horacio is a much better catch than Colin is.
all right, Callum was cheating. Michelle
Yeah,
was a
that was
side
sad.
piece.
I know.
Wow, that's tough. But it's definitely between those two. Oh man. Well, Nerys, she got second place against Emmanuel, who's a fucking locomotive. All right, yeah. Nerys gets best. Michelle gets supporting. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I think it's the only reason Nerys wins it over Michelle, like, is because of her performance right at the end and all the eliminations and in the final. In Michelle, she just happened to lose in that elimination, so then she got kicked out. If Michelle showed up to the final and she got like third place and like looked impressive, then maybe it'd be something different.
Yeah, basically, as soon as Michelle like was dipping, that's when Nerys was rising. They just like at an impasse or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, awesome. Uh, until next time, like, subscribe, comment. This was a Battle of the Challenges podcast with Fitz and Cloud.
And David Lauer.